Tendering of 2 plots of land in Yuen and Shui has been suspended in a bid to speed up the development of the Northern Metropolis. The airport's operations are swiftly recovering as some parts of the city deal with the aftermath of Typhoon Wipha. And Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba vows to stay in office despite his coalition's disappointing election results. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Quentin Yang. The tendering process for 2 parcels of land in the new territories has been halted amid the government's plan to accelerate the development of the Northern Metropolis. Best Learn reports.
As per the Development Bureau, a 3-hectare land in Yuen, originally earmarked for a multi-story logistics building, will be transferred to the Hong Kong Science Park to be integrated into the Yuen Inno Park. The second site, an 8-hectare plot in Shui, will be part of a study conducted by the Bureau to explore the feasibility of establishing a 15-hectare industrial park to be operated and managed by a government-owned enterprise. The study is anticipated to be finalized by this year. The tender submission deadline for the 2 sites was originally set for Friday. In a statement, the Development Bureau said the decision was made after considering the opinions of the innovation and technology as well as the logistics sectors over the industrial layout of the area, as well as the government's plan for the Northern Metropolis and development strategy, saying the 2 sites could be utilized in a more proactive manner to drive industrial development. Best Learn Cable News.
Operations at the Hong Kong International Airport are swiftly recovering after Wipha battered the city, as the airport authority rescheduled flights and expressed confidence in handling all the affected passengers. Evelyn Bai reports.
Following the cancellation of over 500 flights yesterday, the airport authority estimated 1,076 flights to arrive and depart today. The backlog of flights has caused long queues at check-in counters. This man said they were supposed to leave at this time yesterday. There's nothing they can do due to the typhoon. The only downside is a shortened trip, so the kids are a bit disappointed. This woman, who arrived 2.5 hours early, said things were going smoothly. Her luggage was checked in, and she was waiting to clear security. Following inspections with Director General of Civil Aviation Victor Liu, Stephen Yu, the Airport Authority's Executive Director of Airport Operations, was optimistic that all travelers affected by the typhoon could be handled today, adding that flight rescheduling process has been ongoing, which will keep extending to 11:59 p.m., while the runway operations have returned to normal. Yu noted that the authority has stepped up efforts to make the affected passengers more comfortable, while also expressing gratitude to the taxi industry, MTR, and bus companies for their cooperation in managing passenger flow. During the flight suspension yesterday, an additional 1,000 staff were deployed on site, distributing supplies and implementing emergency measures. Over 800 taxis were mobilized overnight for stranded travelers. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
In the wake of the chaos brought by Wipha, Chief Secretary Eric Chen stated that all cases of fallen trees and flooding were dealt with promptly, thanks to the government's proactive and advanced planning. But the scenes at a decades-old building, a wharf pier, and a harborside car park have left evidence of how the destructive power of Wipha has unleashed on the city. Evelyn Bai again reports.
Amid Wipha's pounding, more than 700 reports of fallen trees and 7 cases of flooding were logged and resolved by relevant departments, the Chief Secretary wrote in a social media post. He added that there was no flooding report in Typhoon, where the Drainage Services Department had installed temporary water-filled barriers to prevent possible flooding due to an expected rise in sea level. Beyond the lucky areas, this car park in Lantau Island's Mui Wo was hit by surging waves, with dozens of cars being rinsed with seawater. This morning, car owners began arriving to retrieve their vehicles.
I've lived here for almost 15 years, and I've been here when we had bad storms, and water will come up here. And I grew up in the Philippines, so I'm used to the ocean.
Okay, but you are not scared about the water just come over?
No, not really. I get a free car wash.
Well, the typhoon was very short and very brief. It wasn't that severe. So, like you said, the tree fell down. It's more dangerous with the trees, right? The water is the water.
Meanwhile, a tenement building on Sion Street in Aberdeen had its top floor windows collapse inward during the storm, leaving the exposed balcony. Southern District Councillor Sophia Lam said the unit had been vacant for a while, denoting an isolated case. In Kennedy Town, the three-decker sightseeing cruise was yet to be towed, despite its mid-section on the starboard side appears dented and deformed. The ship, carried by the fierce winds and surging waves, collided with the China Merchants Wharf pier yesterday. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
The Hong Kong Book Fair reopened this morning at 9 a.m., a full hour earlier than scheduled, after Typhoon Wipha forced a day-long closure on Sunday. The fair will extend its hours until 11 p.m. tonight, 2 hours later than usual, to compensate for lost time and revenue. Meanwhile, the concurrent Sports and Leisure Expo and World of Snacks will extend operations till 10 p.m. All three exhibitions will conclude as planned tomorrow. Dozens of parents, students, and even tourists queued outside the Convention and Exhibition Center in Wenchai ahead of the early reopening. Miss Fan, a traveler from Chengdu province, expressed relief as she came specifically for the book fair. Though the typhoon paused it yesterday, she was glad she could come early today. Local student Abby echoed the sentiment, noting the storm caused minor inconvenience, but allowed her to return today for study materials. For exhibitors, however, the Sunday closure struck a significant blow. Booksellers reported losing what was traditionally their busiest day, as Sunday sales typically accounting for 20% of total revenue. Ellie Lau with the commercial press hoped that post-typhoon discounts can lure more customers and make up the loss. Non-book vendors also felt the impact. Some mitigated losses by reducing perishable stock before the storm. A snack exhibitor estimated a 10 to 15% drop in overall sales, despite Saturday's stronger than usual turnout. The organizer, Hong Kong Trade Development Council, permitted Sunday ticket holders to use their passes for remaining days or seek refunds. In other news, the latest home ownership scheme 2024 is approaching a sellout, with approximately 80% of its over 7,800 discounted flats already snapped up by successful applicants. The Housing Authority confirmed the brick sales pace, noting the current selection process is progressing about 25% faster than the previous round, highlighting sustained strong demand for subsidized homes in the city. The bulk of the selections have been made by family applicants, whose allocation process is now nearing completion. Attention now shifts to single-person applicants, who are the next group eligible to choose their homes. The Housing Authority has begun issuing selection appointment letters to these applicants. Their crucial flat selection sessions are scheduled to commence next week, offering the remaining units across the available developments, including the most favorable ones at Kai Ying Court in Kai-Tak. In a landmark political setback, Japan's ruling coalition has lost its majority in the House of Councillors in Sunday's election. In battle, the Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba vowed to stay on, despite yet another heavy blow to his party. Anna Chen has the story.
Following the bruising election loss, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru reiterated his intention to remain in office, stressing that the government cannot afford to be stalled and his party needs to fulfill its responsibility as the largest political force in the chamber. In Sunday's election, the Liberal Democratic Party and its partner Komeito lost their majority by securing a total of only 47 new seats, down significantly from the 66 seats they held before the election. The largest opposition party, the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, secured the same number of seats, while the Democratic Party for the People and the Sensato Party both won 13 more seats. The coalition has now been deprived of majority control in both houses of parliament, marking the first time in the LDP's 70-year history for it to lead a coalition that does not control either house. The cards are stacked against Ishiba, with all major opposition parties ruling out joining an expanded coalition. In addition, calls for him to resign from within the LDP may grow. Widespread voter dissatisfaction with the government's handling of inflation and economic policy was the dominant theme of the campaign. Previous controversies, including soaring rice prices, ministerial gaffes, and problematic voucher policies, further eroded public trust in the government. Anna Chan, Cable News.
U.S. top chip maker Nvidia's chief executive Jensen Huang expressed optimism and confidence in China's innovation capabilities, particularly praising the Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek. Anna Chen tells us more.
China is not one of many markets. China is a singular, unique market. The dynamics of this market, the innovation, the dynamism, the pace of this market, this industry, is simply singular.
In an interview with CCTV in Beijing, Huang praised China's innovation capability and pace as astonishing and unstoppable. The tech giant's leader stressed the importance of the Chinese market to global providers, with extremely large populations of both high-tech talents and end consumers. The long-term consequences of not participating in the China market is unknown, but I doubt that is positive, said Huang. As the global interest in artificial intelligence intensifies, Huang singled out DeepSeek as a standout example of China's AI innovation capacity.
Their model, called R1, is genuinely innovative. It re-architected many of the ways that the AI models operate so that it can take advantage of the H20 architecture. And so that's a very innovative thing.
He pointed out that DeepSeek achieved world-class results even though they were built on H20 chip, which isn't the most advanced that Nvidia provides. Nvidia has recently secured U.S. government's approval to resume sales of its H20 AI chips to the Chinese market. Anna Chan, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up 168 points. Top active stocks of the day, Alibaba was up $2.10. Dongfang Electric was up $9.73. Xiaomi was up 75 cents and Huaxing Cement was up $8.58. The city locked an inflation rate of 1.4% in June from a year earlier, slightly below the market forecast. The smaller increase in consumer price index compared to 1.9% in May was mainly due to the decrease in the government's provision of electricity charges subsidy in June 2024 compared with May 2024. Netting out the effects of all one-off relief measures, the underlying composite CPI increased by 1% over a year earlier, same as the preceding month. A government spokesman said price pressures on various major components were contained in general. Looking ahead, overall inflation should remain modest in the near term, as pressures from domestic costs and external prices should stay broadly in check. Paris Olympics bronze medalist Shivang Hohi will miss the upcoming Road Aquatics Championships in Singapore due to a back injury. Announcing the decision in a social media post, the 27-year-old native swimming star expressed her sadness to pull out of the match, but at this moment, she has to decide what is best for herself, saying while elite athletes were trained to push through the pain and fatigue to keep going, they need to make brave decisions to take care of their body and wait with patience at certain points. In a statement, the Swimming Association said Hohi's back injury has eased after treatment, but she's still suffering from recurring injuries, adding that the swimmer previously hoped to compete with the injury, but decided to withdraw after weighing the importance of the national games as a more important competition. Team Hong Kong will send 10 swimmers, 4 men and 6 women, to compete at the World Aquatics Championships. On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy with occasional showers and squally thunderstorms. Showers will be heavier at times at first. Temperatures will range between 26 and 30 degrees tomorrow. And that's our news tonight. I'm Quentin Yang. Thank you for watching. Good night.